Okay, that pretty much covers classes. They weren't very hard. You know, of course, we didn't go too complicated with them, but they're easy enough to where, you know, we can still make a pretty dynamic system and without complicating things too much. So let's go ahead and move on to index real quick. Uh, or where we're going to create the new index, which is right here. Went ahead and logged in, and you can now see we have these two locations here. And let me just go ahead and show you how to do it. It's really easy, and you guys, I'm sure, could even figure this out on your own. It's so simple. But I did want to go ahead and start it so later on we can start making it a little better. The first thing I did is I created a new page called index.php, and I kept a lot of this the same. The only thing I added is I added a new div ID and called it locations, and all it is it's giving us the location of this right here, so it's not, you know, sticking over here on the side of the screen, and we can move it at any time. I went into style.css and added a new div tag called locations, and just put the top and the left in there. If we go back to index, did a standard query that's part of it all. The only thing I pulled from the actual player query was the player hit points, and right now there's not a whole lot of point in querying, but there will be later on as our locations get bigger and bigger, the location page or the index page. But what I did was is if the player hit points is less than 1, if the player's dead, then we don't want them being able to battle and stuff like that. So I just put echo you are dead. I gave them a chance to use an item so they can heal, and then I just exited. So that way they don't even get a chance to look at anything else. And we'll make that a little more dynamic later. It's not really super important right now. And then I just made I made a bold with big underline saying locations, which you can see on the page, and then I just added those two links, and then of course I have the logout, which is just the same as it is on battle. Now what we got to do is we need to open up authenticate, so when we actually do log in, it doesn't point to battle anymore, it points to index, and that's what I did here. In your authenticate, you want to change that to say index.php instead of battle. The next thing we want to do is we want to go to, well, let's just start from the here. If you go to visit store, if you keep your code the same, you'll get an error here saying, hey, creature's not defined, because we used to pass the variable creature from the battle.php. Well, we're not going to do that anymore. So the next thing we want to do is open up store.php, and we want to delete where it says creature, get creature. We want to delete that. We want to change our link from where it says, if we want to say never mind, then we want to change that from battle to index. So that way we actually go back to index. And then when we go to buy item, we can now get rid of that creature thing because we're not passing any creature. We haven't battled yet. So you can just get rid of that variable right there. And then we want to go ahead and open up, since we're not passing that, we want to go ahead and open up buy item and get rid of the variable that says get creature. We no longer need that. And then we want to change after we purchase an item, we want to change it to from battle.php to index, so it points right back to index. So if I'm in here and I buy this item, we hit go back, and it brings us right back to index. The next thing we want to do is I'm not going to put use item in the locations like you can use an item here, because I want to be able to use it during battle. We may change that later, but if we go to battle in arena, we still want to be able to do the use item. So the use item we're not going to change at all. Just leave that the same. But one thing I did change is I want to add exit arena in here, so we can actually exit and go back to the main page. And so if we go to battle.php and go to the bottom, I just changed that to exit arena, and that way we can actually exit and go back to a normal thing. And in the next video, or actually the next video after the next, we're going to actually be able to battle players and everything. And I'm just checking to make sure I covered everything. Yeah, that's basically it. So that's as simple as adding the locations. I mean, it was really simple. Like I said, the next video we're going to add under here, we're going to add spell points so we know our spell points, and we're going to add a use magic, and we're actually going to start getting into magic. And that's the end of the video.